ill-developed, perhaps the function eats them. Phelps saw his chief security officer clearly as never before, but he saw him for only a moment. The features began to fade at once, until all that was left was the empty outline of a man, the vacancy that would have to be filled immediately. The Marion Research Institute was one of those hybrids so frequent in English public and social life. Old man Marion had founded and endowed the place out of his oil millions, to prospect in dynamics and fuels for the future. The government had taken advantage of an optimistic director's overspending to muscle in on this profitable field and propped up the Institute's temporarily shaky finances in exchange for a watching brief and an option on all the results the Marion computers, drawing boards and laboratories produced. And this uneasy and contentious engagement had culminated in a slightly embittered marriage a year later, when the ministry assumed the husband's role, and the Institute's scientists and mechanicians found themselves islanded and fenced in by considerations of national security, who had ingenuously considered themselves, up to then, as dedicated to human advancement. They had felt, some of them, like the children of an autocratic Victorian household, strictly confined in a world where the cheerful and ungifted ran free. And some of them, Sir Broughton remembered, had rebelled. For a little while. Circumstances had exalted Herbert Terrell's office as circumstances had placed him in it. Where security precautions are so tight and vital, the sudden death of one man cannot be allowed to disrupt essential services. Today, only a skeleton office staff and the maintenance men were in. Tomorrow, someone else must be securely installed in Terrell's place, that man-shaped outline, faint as a wraith now, solidly filled again. Another hand on the curbs, another sharp eye on the most secret of secret files, the private personnel file. He supposed he'd better contact the minister and ensure that his authority to appoint could not be questioned. The old man didn't care a damn if the truth were told, but could be awkward if his perquisites were infringed or his nominal authority bypassed. Sir Broughton Phelps picked up the telephone again and switched on the scrambler before he asked for the number of the minister's country house. No doubt where he'd be on a fine Sunday in July. "Just a few minutes, darling," he said across the desk to his decorative and influential wife, who had put her head into the library to call him to lunch. "Something's come up unexpectedly. I won't be long." She made a face at him, not entirely playfully. Not even on Sundays did his time belong to her, but she still considered that it should. "Something bad?" No," he said soothingly. "Nothing serious. Just a vacancy that's cropped up and has to be filled. That's all." The minister's private secretary was a dashing young man, whose native flippancy was held in check by his unerring sense of occasion. He had more respect for Sir Broughton Phelps than for most people, but even that wasn't saying very much. He intended, however, to rise in his profession, and he was good at official languages. It didn't matter that Sir Broughton could disentangle his utterances at the other end of the line just as effectively as the scrambler could unscramble it. What is said, not what is meant, goes in the records. "I'm extremely sorry, Sir Broughton, but the minister's just gone out for some urgently needed air and exercise. He's been hard at it all morning. Is it anything urgent? Should I try to find him, or can I convey a message and get him to call you back later?" "Fishing," thought Sir Broughton, mentally translating. "Slept all morning and won't come in till dusk. Could be over at Patterson's with his horses, but more likely fishing. I'd be obliged if you could get word to him. I just heard from Prague that the Institute's security officer has had an accident on holiday there, climbing in the mountains. I must make some arrangements to fill his place at once. No, it won't be a temporary appointment. Terrell's dead. If you could reach the minister, I should be glad. My own nomination would be Blagrove, but of course I defer to his judgment."